Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. I said in the previous video that I was going to be doing this one. It's not a huge video, but it is just to put a nail on the head, which is what they need to do with the bottle deposit scheme, or the deposit return scheme, as they're calling it. Basically, they're trying to blame Westminster and saying, oh, they're not given the permission. Westminster are saying, no, you didn't put your paperwork in until the 6th of March. And when you didn't put all the things that needed to go with it. And they needed to all this because they want this exemption. And there isn't really a lot of time left for them to get the exemption. And they haven't, like I say, they haven't done all the work. But that is, of itself, a different matter entirely from the reason that now we can say, without a doubt, that it is over. It is done, and it will not come into being. And that is because today, Rishi Sunak spoke to the Scottish Government and asked them to scrap the DRS. Sunak has said that they need to scrap it. It isn't going to happen because they just haven't got time to get this exemption through before the UK-wide one comes up. So this still remains a problem for the SNP and the Greens. It was their failure. It wasn't the government's failure. They weren't the ones delaying it coming in. So, there's still $500 million to find in Scotland. So good luck with that. When it makes you wonder why Lorna Slater's still in a job. But we'll take a very quick look at this. This piece goes on a number of other issues, which I'm not going to go into. It's an entirely separate video. But I just want to concentrate on this one item. But we'll have a look at this anyway. So Sunak calls on Scottish Government to scrap the deposit return scheme. He's effectively called time on it just this afternoon, and it isn't really going to happen. Without his blessing, it's not going to happen. But also because obviously they still haven't got these assessments in. They still haven't got the impact statements in yet. So, they can't even begin to do the assessment process till they get them. And of course now the UK government is pressing ahead and pulling, full power with its own one, which is due to come in 2025. So it does look like that the SNP and the Greens will not be getting their exemption for this very, very poor excuse for a deposit return scheme. Anyway, going in, Rishi Sunak has urged the Scottish Government to ditch the deposit return scheme to help with the cost of living crisis. The Prime Minister's intervention came as he was pushed on rising food prices by the SNP's Westminster leader, Beryl Flynn. The Aberdeen South MP accused the UK government of dragging its heels over the skyrocketing costs for consumers. And that's so typical of the SNP because only today was it announced that the rate of inflation had fallen quite significantly. So hopefully we should start seeing an easing with the cost of living crisis. Not defending the Tories, this has got nothing to do with them. This is worldwide. This is a whole worldwide shrinking inflation and supply lines. So it's nothing the Tories have done. In fact, they've probably made it worse with their insistence on putting interest rates up. I know that they need to go up because you have to drive commodity scarceness, but I think they've put them up way too much, and people are not just not spending on stuff they'd otherwise spend on, but actually not spending now on food, and that is the big problem. But anyway, during Wednesday's Prime Minister's questions, Mr Flynn said, "We learnt today that the price of milk, cheese and eggs are up 29%. The price of pasta up 27%. The price of loaf of bread around 18%. And I've got to be honest, I noticed this. And the thing that really, really annoys me is I'm not naive. I know prices go up. Put the damn prices up. Don't be sneaky and shrink the size of the packet. If I was Prime Minister tomorrow, I would make it a rule that chocolate bars had to be sold in, 100 kilograms, oh, I wish, 100 grams, 500 grams, 250 grams, and so forth. And you weren't allowed to shrink the size of things. Things had to be a set size. And if the prices go up, then so be it. The prices go up. The moment you start shrinking the sizes and you don't highlight that, then people start going hungry because they think, oh, we've got enough for this. All of a sudden, what they used to have for their money was enough is no longer enough because there isn't enough of it in the packet. It is sneaky, it is underhand, and you should say, and that's number one, and you should always have things the same price or at the same size and just put the prices up. And secondly, and that really gets my goat, is vegetables. Stop selling vegetables in plastic bags. If you want carrots, loose carrots. If you want onions, loose onions. Things like that. Why should I have to buy 20 carrots when I only want 2 carrots? It's first of all, it's extra plastic, and secondly, it's an awful waste of carrots because I put them in, I use them. By the time I go to get use the rest of them, they're rotten. There's only 2 of us in this house. We can't afford to be throwing food away like that simply because supermarkets are too lazy to put out loose vegetables. Well, to be fair, Waitrose does have loose vegetables. There's a fly in here. Waitrose does have loose vegetables, but I mean, God, who uses Waitrose anymore? I try to use Netto. Not Netto. What's it called? Aldi. The other one, not Aldi. We've got an Aldi, but it's the other one. Anyway, well, because you got to save pennies. I mean, food has gone. It's doubled in price in what, 2 years? Sod that, and sod them all. They're all bastards. Anyway, that was an aside. That was my personal problems. I do apologise. Anyway, he said. Does the Prime Minister agree that this is no longer just a cost of living crisis? This is a cost of greed crisis. Well, it's not greedy wanting to just get by food, is it? Mr Sunak replied, it was welcome that inflation has fallen today, but as the Chancellor said, we should not be more complacent because there is more work to do. He said, then he goes on blah, 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 blah about supply chains and everything. And he's talking about prices of this and what they're doing to reduce that and increasing blah, blah. And it's all bollocks. It's all bollocks because nothing. They sit there, these politicians sit there giving it that, but actually there's nothing they can do. But he gets on, eventually we get down to this point. He says, if the SNP wanted to do their bit, maybe they could reconsider their deposit return scheme. It is very clear what people have said. It will reduce choice and increase prices for consumers. And the DRS is currently on pause as the UK and Scottish governments argue over the request for an exemption, which it won't be coming. And then it goes on to him, Sunak moaning with Keir Starmer over some other rubbish that these two virtually the same men disagree on out of principle, but probably privately agree on because they're all the same. And so, yes, we have this. So he's basically saying that the DRS is going to cost money and that Scotland should get rid of it so that to try and help with the cost of living crisis rather than putting it on and making things even more expensive. But, you know, it is what it is. But given that, it seems unlikely that any exemption will come. And also there's the fact that there's the hypocrisy there that he's saying, oh, you know, you should cut the DRS because it'll put prices up. We've got this crisis of living, you know, cost of living crisis. Meanwhile, he's planning to bring in the DRS in 2025 for exactly the same reason. What a hypocritical, two-faced twonk. Honestly, that's what I mean. They're all bastards. They're all the same. He is no different from any of the others. Just for some reason, he's managed to crawl his way up to the top. He wasn't voted in. He wasn't wanted by the members. He's failed upwards. What is it? That's two parties, both run in their respective countries, both headed by Asian men who failed upwards. Weird, isn't it? Anyway, I shall finish there and round up and come up. So yeah, proof of any needed. DRS is dead. But you know, it's just they'll still push. They'll still push, and they'll still try and blame Westminster for this. Well, the SNP and the Greens, and they know full well it isn't Westminster's fault, but they've got to push it onto Westminster because they quite simply cannot afford to pay for the mistake that they have made. It's terrible, isn't it? Lidl's, that's the other one. Bloody Lidl's. I knew it would come to me. But yeah, that's the problem they've got. They know it's their mistake. They know they're going to be on the hook for it. But they've got to keep trying and pushing to push this back to Westminster because otherwise they are going to be slaughtered in the polls when people realise that half a billion has been wasted on a project that isn't even going to happen. Unbelievable waste. And that is why you should never vote for the SNP. Vote SNP, get morons. You should never vote for the Tories either. Vote Tories, get evil. And you should never vote for Labour either. Vote Labour, get communists. You never vote for the Lib Dems. Vote Lib Dems, get stupid. None of them. Don't vote for any of them. Independents. Fill Parliament with independents. It won't be effective, but at least they can't cock up any worse. Anyway, I shall round off there. Excuse me. I shall round off there. Thank you very much for watching. If that's that fly, you know. I said there was a fly in here. I'm pretty sure I swallowed it. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel and you don't mind people swallowing flies in coffin, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, shop in the little shops, and goodbye.